don't know about you, but I grew up with Barbies. Most of mine were used because I had older sisters, and some of them didn't have quite the hairdo they had originally, because of course little girls can't resist giving little trims and things like that till you end up with a punk rock, hairdo. But I loved them nonetheless. Barbie was just such a fun part of my life. So as I was scrolling through the internet a few years ago, I don't remember if I was on Instagram or Facebook, could have been either or, going back and forth, I found Grandma Gets Real. And the founder behind this is Tanya Ruiz, my guest today. And oh my gosh, we're going to be talking about Barbie, miniatures, and how you build an influential career with both. So Tanya, thank you so much. It's so much fun to have this conversation with you.
Hello, and I'm so glad you scrolled through and found me.
So am I. I'm telling you, there are days I literally laugh out loud. And my husband or one of my kids will say, Mom, what are you laughing about? I'm like, who knew you could get Oreos like the size of my pinky fingernail? How did this start?
I'm glad it makes you laugh. Remember Reader's Digest used to say laughter's the best medicine? And I really believe that. And my account is just, to make your heart merry. It's a lot of fun. How did it start? Well, I too grew up with Barbies and cut their hair and did all this stuff. So I grew up with Barbie. I followed in her tiny footsteps and became a teenage fashion model. And after my experience in the modeling industry, I kind of rebelled against everything to do with body image and Barbie and lookism and the whole, I threw the baby out with the bathwater, basically. I just was so done with the whole perfection, pursuit of perfection. And so Barbie kind of got, dumped for a number of years. And then I started speaking about body image and going around traveling to groups. I spoke to girls from 8 to 80. And you think, why 80? But women 80, it doesn't matter what age you are, you're struggling with body image issues. And as props, I purchased Barbies to hold up and say, this is, what the problem is here is not that it's Barbie. Barbie is a reflection of our culture.
I love the genesis.
Yeah. So it was.
I never knew this part of the story.
I was anti-Barbie, and I did a number of interviews, TV shows, magazine articles about how bad Barbie is. My husband became ill, and I became a caregiver, and I packed all my speaking props up in the attic, in a box, and I put him in the attic. He was permanently disabled for a number of years. He's doing great now. And so during that hard time of me not speaking, not traveling, not doing anything, my granddaughters found the Barbies in the attic. And they're like, can we play with your Barbies? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And so I started researching, and Mattel had come out with new Barbies, different sizes, shapes, skin tones. And so I said, well, why don't we get some new realistic Barbies, and then we'll play with Barbies. And that is how my Instagram started, was with my granddaughters wanting to play with Barbies, my daughter suggesting try Instagram, and that is how it all started.
Wow. It's funny, when I think of Barbie, I actually don't think of her figure, even though it was a very distinct figure now that I'm thinking about it. But what I thought is Barbies were very good for me to get out my stress, because I could play multiple characters. And my mother had set up in our dining room, there were two corners in the dining room, and there were corner cabinets that my father had created and built in. And one of them, she made a dual household for Barbie.
That's amazing.
And so I could play with them, within her earshot. I'm sure, there were 5 kids in the house. So we played in these areas where she was around. But it allowed me to get out my stress, whether it was with my brothers or sisters, or anger at my parents, or so to me it was a therapeutic time.
I think for most people it was. I think there was just different circumstances in life that caused me to later look back and have an issue. And like I said, it wasn't only Barbie. I think she was a reflection of our culture. It was the Miss America beauty pageants. It was the Barbie dolls. It was the fashion magazines. It was what I experienced in my life that I think affected it. You know, I used to, as a child, you know, I modeling was a huge, you know, everybody wanted to be a fashion model. It was a huge career goal in my life. And people used to stop me and say, oh, you should be a model or a movie star. And I started thinking, wow. And, you know, people always say, oh, you know, as a young child, oh, you're so beautiful. So to me, the whole look thing was part of my childhood, not a healthy part probably, but part of my childhood.
I could certainly imagine that, because I was always grateful that, like, for me, my opportunity to model didn't come till I was 56. And I think if it came earlier, I mean, I remember the day I got signed by Wilhelmina. I always think about this. I remember Ginny Conquest, who I love dearly, saying to me, you know, if you were like 18, this wouldn't be happening. And I'm like, oh, don't believe me. I know that. I know I'm shorter. I know I, you know, have not the features of a traditional classic. So yeah, and I certainly don't have that figure.
Well, I mean, I think it's wonderful to come, and I've seen your work and you're amazing. I think it's so wonderful to come at an age where you already know yourself and you've had a life and all that. I signed a modeling contract when I was 15 years old. I was so young. That was very different.
Yeah.
And the industry was very different back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was a brutal, the ugly business of beautiful women was a brutal business.
Now, at some point, your grandchildren want to play with grandma's Barbies. What happens? So there's a story here unfolding.
There's a story. So the Barbies I had in the attic I had some of the original kind of Barbies, and this is a reproduction of the original Barbie.
Oh my gosh.
And so, did you know that the original Barbie was fashioned after a prostitute?
No.
She was fashioned after a doll in Switzerland that was a doll of ill repute, or whatever you want to say, woman of the night. And that was the original Barbie was fashioned after a doll made of a prostitute. And so that's why she kind of looks like this. And so this is what girls were given to play with in 1959. And like I said, I don't think everybody had an issue. There's just a percentage of girls that wanted to look like this.
And how I could, you know, now that I'm really thinking about it, I could certainly understand that.
Right. So, like I said, I was not just Barbie's a reflection of culture, but also the magazines, fashion magazines, you know, little girls in my generation, Miss America pageant was nighttime viewing, right? I mean, it was important to watch that.
I just watched Mad Men for the first time. I mean, it's been out for years, but I'm like, wow, 1960s women, this is quite the challenge.
It's different, very different. So another doll that I had in my attic that I had purchased back in like 2003 was this Happy Family Grandma Barbie that I purchased because I said, finally, they made a Barbie that looked like me. And so she has, you know, the thicker waist, and she's got some wrinkles on her face. She's got flat feet. And so this was one of the dolls. No, she's no heels for her. So this was one of the dolls that I had in the box in my attic from my speaking. So when my granddaughters saw this, they were like, oh, this is so much fun. Let's play with it. And this is the doll that started the whole social media. This started it all.
My gosh, now started it all. For those who have, if it's possible that they haven't seen your account, but they're going to certainly see it after this, what does started it all mean?
Well, we started finding little realistic miniatures for grandma so that she could have a realistic miniature world. I did not want my Barbie to be about only shoes and clothes and consumerism. I wanted it to be real life, a plastic parallel universe of my life. Mm-hmm. Reality Barbie, Barbie gets real. And so I started finding little things so that she'd have realistic rooms. And I mean, we just had so much fun shopping and doing this. You can imagine what kind of fun we had. So we just started finding realistic miniatures and posting these photos. And by 2020, it had gone viral. People were amused by tiny ice cubes. People had never
such things. I'm like, where does Tanya find these?
Yeah. So that was my first viral video, was tiny ice cubes. And it's just gone crazy since then. So now there's over 2 million followers. I've got a wonderful community on social media, people that are interested in dolls, people that are interested in miniatures, or just people that want to be entertained and amused by tiny things. Like, for instance, my latest tiny,
Sometimes it's the scenes you set up.
And that's fun.
It's a riot. I love it.
And something you will love, because I know you're a music lover, is I just recently got a new miniature turntable. And it comes with
I bought
little crates. Now, this is if you were having a plastic parallel universe, and then it comes with little crates of records. So they just no end to the miniatures. The miniatures have become a pop phenomenon.
Now, I'm curious. You know, one day I think it was Reese's peanut butter cups you had, or Oreo cookies, or your little version of Tide or whatever. Do brands send these to you? Do brands say, this woman is so hilarious, she's creating this miniature world that's become really popular, I want to make something custom for her?
I have worked with brands. I do have companies that send me stuff. A lot of companies share my stuff. My miniature mission tortillas, miniature Pond's cold cream. I did an ad for Clorox with a miniature laundry room. So yes, it's a lot of fun. And also the toy companies love to send me stuff because I show their miniatures, of course, and hopefully for them that people will want to purchase them.
When did you find out a miniature world existed? When you decided to start playing with these Barbies with your grandchildren, what came first, playing with them and then finding out there was a miniature world, or did you kind of know that existed? It's a wild trip.
There was a miniature museum near where I lived growing up, and I remember looking at the doll houses and the miniatures, just being so amazed by them. And so when we started the account of this miniature world, my daughter said, oh, you should look on eBay, which that was, start shopping online, which was my first adventure, shopping online. And I went to eBay and I ordered some tiny food. Oh my gosh. That was the beginning of, they really make Barbie-sized realistic tiny food. So there was these little teeny, dishes of food, and it went from there. That was my first eBay purchase, was tiny food.
I mean, I'm trying to picture this because I remember when I had those first Barbies that my older sisters had played with, the first baby I got, would have killed Barbie if she actually gave birth to it, because I couldn't find a Barbie. Barbie was, let's say, this tall. The baby was this big.
Right.
But all your things are proportioned.
I try hard. It's called scale. And I know it's very confusing when people start, because there's a regular dollhouse when people, have a dollhouse and make furniture. And that's usually 1/12 scale or dollhouse miniatures. And then Barbie has her own scale, which is 1/6 scale or play scale miniatures. And so people are very confused, especially when they start. But sometimes I used to have to take a doll with me when I'd go out shopping because it's hard to always tell when I take a doll. But another thing I like is, in the world of miniatures, if you can see someone holding it on their hand, you really get a perspective of the size of it. And so a lot of my videos, I'm holding it or moving it or doing something with it so that people can realize that's not a real living room. That's not real artwork. That's a miniature.
It's like it. That's the crazy thing. Some of the things that really caught my attention, you would have a scene set up and then you would be standing behind it. Yeah. And I'd say, oh my gosh, this is just unbelievable.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. And another thing that I love is nostalgia. I'm very sentimental. And I have a 70s kitchen. It's one of my favorite rooms. And my avocado green refrigerator.
In life or in miniature life? Because I remember those.
Yeah. So this is my miniature refrigerator that has, of course, TV dinners in it. So this is my favorite, is finding miniatures from my childhood and including them in my world. So stuff like that is just so fun to find it. I bought it and it was white, and I said, no, this needs to be avocado green. So that's one of my favorite things.
Now, you've, based on what you said, it's almost like you've implied there's a community
There's
of
a huge
miniature or Barbie people.
There's a huge community online of doll people. It's called Dollstagram. It started on Instagram, people sharing photos of their dolls. But there's a huge miniature world. There's Barbie conventions and there's miniature conventions. You have no idea. Once you get into this, you think it's just a little niche thing. No, we're talking millions of people love Barbies, love miniatures, love miniature worlds, and are doing what I'm doing. And like you said, when you were young and you played with it as therapy, a lot of people have gone back to that because it is, they call it, miniature therapy or doll therapy. It's a world you have control of.
Yes, exactly. I mean, when I think of being a little kid, the two things that were my favorite things to do was one, play with Barbies in that corner. And the other one was, at some point, my father coming home from work one day found this huge blackboard. And they hung it in our basement. And I would go down there for hours with myself and pretend I was the teacher. And if I had had a bad day at school, I knew who was going to get reprimanded and have to do extra homework. So I resolved my inner stress by playing teacher for hours.
And I think that's what people are doing. And it's always been a hobby for, a long time. Miniatures have been a hobby. Back to, as far as you can research history, miniatures have been a part of life. But it's really, in the last 8 years, become a phenomenon. Every toy company now has a line of miniatures. Major toy companies all now are creating miniatures.
Do you think you were instrumental to that?
When I started there was a company that started making miniatures and they went viral on TikTok, and all the teenagers were doing miniatures. So that was the seed of it becoming a phenomenon. But a lot of the things that I make and go viral, a few months later, I do see them coming out on the store shelves. And I'm like, well, you could have called me.
Now, wait a second. Do you I know you said you painted that white refrigerator to match the 1970s pea green that was so popular. Do you create a lot of your own miniatures?
I collect. I'm a really good researcher and collector. Some of them are custom made. Some of them are on the store shelves. And so that's just a lot of fun for me researching it. Like, say, the 70s kitchen. I started doing research of, wallpaper and appliances and colors and flooring. And then I do a lot of research, and then I put together, you could either call it a diorama or a room box.
So you build your own mini sets?
My friend says I have my own miniature Universal Studios at my house.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems like.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun.
I'm curious, what were your children's reaction to this when they saw you were doing this with your grandchildren?
Well, my daughter, whose idea it was very, instrumental in helping me. And I didn't know how to really use Instagram or anything. So my daughter, helped me with that. My son used to record videos of me doing it, and then he would put Twilight Zone music behind it.
Very clever.
He thought it was a little funny. People used to call me and say, "Are you still doing that doll thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still doing that doll thing." But now that, it's become really popular and it's opened a lot of doors for me, people are pretty like, "Oh, maybe she's got something there." So my family has been very supportive, and my husband is my number one fan. He's totally supportive. He's painting stuff and fixing stuff and remodeling stuff for me. And so my family's been wonderful.
It's just so cool and fun. It's, how do you feel when you're doing it? When you're setting up a scene, do you go into your own world, or do you take little breaks, or are you in the zone?
I think
you have such details.
I love putting it together. So like I said, I collect it all. And then when I'm going to go do like when I did put the miniature record player in my 70s living room, and then I thought, oh, I need a guitar in the living room, and I'll make sure the little acrylic grapes are in there, and oh, I need a lava lamp. And then I start, oh, where's my magazines? Where's my miniature magazines from the 70s? I need to add them. So I love finding all the right pieces and doing that. That's my very favorite part.
Have you had an interior design magazine come after you yet and say, we need to have her design some rooms?
I have not. Architectural Digest did interview me when they did an article about miniatures, and they interviewed me about collecting miniatures. And my daughter was so thrilled because that's her favorite magazine. I was recently on a show with Bobby Burke, the designer, and he came in and helped design a studio for me. And we, spent some time taking pictures with my little miniature rooms and stuff like that. So it's
because if you think, if someone was going to redesign a space, they might do this stuff on CAD, but you're creating actual replicas. It's kind of like, sometimes if you go to a place and they're building out a new community, you'll see, looks like a big Monopoly board, but you're actually doing these rooms and scenes.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, 1/6 scale. They're smaller, and I have 14 rooms. I have a medical room, a nursery, living room, couple of kitchens, a 90s room, a diner, a tiki bar. I've got quite a few different. If I look at a grocery store, I'm looking over there. I've got 14 different rooms. So when I get ready to go I want to do a grocery cart with tiny food, I have a grocery store. So.
How often do you create these scenes?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I'm on a roll and I go upstairs and I just do a whole bunch of stuff. And sometimes I'll look back through my camera roll and I'm like, what did you do in June? Because you were just so busy and so many viral things. And then, other times it's slower depending on, life and all that. But I post every day, usually 3 times a day. So I'm creating content. I'm creating content all the time, but I love it.
Okay, so you are a content creator. Let's talk about that.
Right.
What does that mean to you, and how has it impacted your life because you're a content creator who's become, an influential in your category for sure and beyond, because I never followed your category, but I love following you. So it's a very interesting unexpected twist in life.
It is, and it wasn't something I set out to do, which is the interesting part. I did set out to, speak about body image, and I ended up kind of into this, but I still think I'm doing it about body image because the Barbies are not the original Barbie; they're realistic Barbies, and I'm creating a realistic world. So I kind of feel like I'm still on topic. As far as when I started, of course, I just had a group of people that I had things in common with on Dollstagram, and those were who interacted with me. And once I went viral, ended up in art magazines because Barbies can be art. I ended up with all the, the viral videos and being interviewed on different programs. Once that happened, it changed my community a bit where it wasn't just other people doing what I'm doing. It was people like you that were watching what I'm doing. And so it's changed my community. And now with, like I said, millions, it's fun to see so many interactions. And for many people, it is entertainment. They don't want to collect Barbies or miniatures, but they're fascinated by the miniature world. So I love creating the content. I've had to learn a lot of new things, but I think that's really good for me. I love learning new things. I, work on the technical stuff and the research I think it's been good for my brain to be busy creating. I think we all are called to create. I think every person has it in them to create. Now, whatever you do with that or however you create is up to you, but I think it's important to be creative and to always stay creative.
I agree. How do you you're creating enough content to post 3 things a day. That's a lot of content. How do you go about keeping track of it all? As you said, you scroll back to that June when you're looking. You know, is there a theme for the day? Do you set a theme for the week? What would you tell other content creators who are saying, I really want, to create a presence here?
Because my miniature world is a plastic parallel universe of my life, for instance, I'm getting ready to go on a road trip. So I am currently, my husband is repainting a miniature car, and we're collecting everything you would take on a road trip in real life. And I'll be dressing the dolls in the proper attire for where we're going. We're going to go down Route 66. And so I'm collecting all the miniatures I can. So that's easy for me to create because I'm creating what I'm doing. I'm recreating what I'm doing. So you should see all the fun Route 66 stuff is out there, and the 50s stuff and the 50s clothes. And so we're going all out working on that. So that's kind of what I do is I think, oh, Thanksgiving's coming up, going to have the family over, need to make a miniature Thanksgiving. Oh, it's summertime. Where's my miniature squirt guns? I need to get out the fake grass and take them outside with the miniature squirt guns like my grandkids would be doing, a miniature pool. So mine, I think the creative part is creating what I'm doing. Makes it a little easier. I'm not having to just off the wall think of stuff. I'm holidays, birthdays, road trips, Now
you're going on a road trip across Route 66. Have you let brands know you're doing this? Do you have sponsors that say, oh my gosh, I got to get on this road trip. This is going to be a trip, literally.
Well, the funny thing about the sponsors and the brands that you talk about, and this goes back to when I first started, is I am not their demographic. They are looking for those young teenagers on TikTok that made their brands popular. They are looking for younger people. And I've been told more than once that you're not our demographic, which at first I just had my feelings hurt so bad. The first time I approached someone and said, I love your stuff. I use it all the time. My miniature world is full of your product. I love it. How do I go about working with you? And the person was very nice. And they just said, you're not our demographic. So I said, I am going to become a demographic. I know that my people in my community love miniatures. I know they would love this stuff. And if the brands don't want to work with me or, whatever, and they do, well, so I just said, I'm going to become a demographic. You don't have to dance and sing and wear a bikini on a platform to get a following. And I am just going to do this every day. I'm going to do what I love to do. I have my people. I have my community, and we will become a demographic. And there are so many articles out now about older collectors, about the new demographic of people buying toys. And so it has changed, and I do get a lot of free product from brands.
I genuinely cannot believe you have to say we will create a demographic, because my looking at you and what you have created, if I had any product in the world that I was trying to sell, I would think companies would be banging your door down, banging it down, not knocking, running to you, because it's so beyond catchy, creative, fun, makes me smile every time, often makes me laugh out loud, and I'm awestruck by it. I really am. So I'm always like, where'd you get that little Clorox bottle from? Or where'd that come from? And the scenes you set up are spectacular.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Knocking your door down.
I appreciate you saying that. And I get it because it's business. It is a business world. Toy companies are businesses. They need their, return on their money put out. I understand it.
See, but I don't think in terms of toy companies. I think of the return as if I made Maxwell House coffee. I don't even know if Maxwell House coffee still exists, but that reminds me of the 60s and the green refrigerator. So, if I was making microphones, if I was making a guitar, a Fender guitar, and I wanted to have fun with an ad campaign, I'd be saying to you, Tanya, I'll send you a check and a mini guitar. Can you include this in the content and send me a picture when you're done, or tag me? Because who doesn't want to learn how to play guitar at any age? You know, I know people that are, my mother's husband, you know, at 92 plays the banjo.
Good
You know,
for him.
so, and started teaching himself at like 85. So, and then there's the, you know, a 5-year-old that I follow online, you know, that plays the guitar like a legend.
Right.
So to me, I'm surprised that disconnect is happening. I'm going to be thinking about this. I'm a marketer by trade. This is really going to bother me, Tanya. I'm going to be thinking about your marketing issue.
And the thing is it hasn't stopped me from growing. It hasn't stopped me from creating. I love what I'm doing.
The audience loves you.
And it's been wonderful for that. And I'm okay. Like I said, I really had my feelings hurt. How do you mean I'm not your demographic? What do you mean? I had my feelings hurt, you know, just like you do. You're sensitive. But then I decided I'm not doing this for that. That would be lovely because then I could put more into what I'm doing. Imagine if they were paying me to do that. But I'm okay. I think they're missing out. And I think I watch a lot of people talking about marketing and stuff. And I think they're really missing out from my demographic, because most of us have credit cards and we love to buy stuff and we're into hobbies and we have time. I'm an empty nester. My children are grown. They're gone. I have time for this hobby. And I think that brands are missing out by not marketing to my age group.
I agree. And it's such a, I mean, if every brand in the world, like, I can't think of one that wouldn't be a great fit for what you do. I mean, it's just such a funny thing to post in their own Instagram feeds, you know, of there we are, there's Barbie, you know, having that Milky Way.
Right. And I understand not using Barbie because Barbie's trademarked. I understand if they don't want Barbie in their ad. But 80% of my miniatures don't have Barbies in them. A huge portion of what I do. I keep Barbie around. I keep grandma in them. I love Barbie. She's my story. She's my childhood story. And always going to go back to Barbie. So Barbie's my story. But most of what I do is miniature world and doesn't have a doll. So I don't see a conflict. But like I said, I'm very patient. And I do think things are changing. They're realizing that adults are collecting. They're realizing that my age group wants to do this hobby. And I think it will change over time. I am going to become that demographic they want.
Well, I fully believe that. And I think you're going to be one of those cases, you know, when you're the rock star that gets to play Madison Square Garden. Nobody ever asks them how many bars they played, how many, you know, garages they played, how many high school dances they played. They just assume they were there, you know.
Right.
You have built a massive audience, and I can only imagine it growing.
Well, I love, like I said, I love my community. It has been such a blessing to me. I love creating. So if that's all it is, I'm okay with that.
Do you have complete strangers come up to you and say, yo, your grandma?
You know, most of the time, if I go to an event where there are miniatures or dolls, I'll see other people from Instagram. But I went with my sister up to LA. We went to Rodeo Drive. And we're walking down Rodeo Drive, and we're in front of the Christian Dior store, and this girl yells out, "Grandma!" And my sister's like, oh my gosh. She was hysterical. She's like, "They recognize you." I'm like, I don't know what to say. So we were so amused by that. But my sister, that was like for my sister walking down Rodeo Drive, you're recognized. She was like, oh my gosh, you know.
You made it. You're on the most famous street in Hollywood, and you're getting recognized.
It was very funny. It was so sweet, and you know, I was able to talk to the person, but it was just so sweet. So that's my best recognize. I can't even say that word. That's my best story.
And I'm just curious, when the Barbie movie came out, how did that impact awareness of what you were doing? Did it in any way?
Yes, a lot of people.
Which I haven't seen, so I can't speak to the movie, but it was Barbie.
A lot of people, it made Barbie popular again. It was, you know, I could give you my critique on it, but it did make Barbie popular again. It's, back in the news. And Barbie's gone through cycles, just like everything else, but it made it popular again. So yeah, it's been between miniatures and Barbie, it's been a wild ride.
Oh my gosh, well, I can tell you, I cannot wait to see this Route 66 tour that you are going to recreate. That's going to be a blast.
That's going to be fun.
Well, oh my gosh, Tanya, I am so happy you spent time with me. We're going to move over to the green room. Any last thoughts you would say to someone?
If you're watching this and you're looking for a way to be creative, find something that you're passionate about, find something you can research and create and spend time doing, because I think it's really healthy to have a hobby and to use that God-given ability to be creative.
I can't think of a better closing than that. I actually got goosebumps. Perfect ending. I'm Diane Gorsell. This is the Silver Disobedience Perception Dynamics podcast, and I have been talking with Tanya Ruiz, who I have admired for, I don't know, I could be going on 5 or 6 years right now. She runs the Instagram and Facebook accounts Grandma Gets Real. She's the creator behind it. She's a solid influencer, brands. You're just really silly if you're not paying attention to her, because call me. I'll be her free agent and tell you all the reasons why you should be trying to work a deal out with her. She's just rocks. Tanya, you're too much fun. Thank you,
Diane.
We're moving over to the green room. There will be links to follow Tanya below. Again, under Grandma Gets Real, there'll be links below so you can follow what she's doing. I promise it's going to make you smile and make your day better. Hit subscribe, please. Share this with your friends, and I'll see you next time.